I had grown up in New York, Paris, or even Montreal, I wouldn't be here today talking to you about insects. But I was raised in the heart of a lush green paradise, an area I would be delighted to take you to. The Quebec I know the best, my home, the Abitibi region. Come with me. In Quebec, even a short flight is enough to transport you to a whole new world. Pure, silent, and shimmering. Thousands of rivers and more than 1 million lakes cover the province with nearly 100,000 square miles of fresh water, which glistens like a mirror. For a naturalist like me, a microcosm such as this is a sheer delight. Some of the strangest creatures live here. Without scales or fins, they are as comfortable in water as any fish. Aquatic insects. So, what does an entomologist do when arriving in a wonderland such as this? Go fishing, of course, because fishing and entomology go hand in hand. Do you see this little graceful winged beauty? It's dead. That's normal. It's a mayfly. One of these short-lived insects that come in vast swarms in the spring in our villages, and that drive fish crazy. These insects are the superstars of fly fishing for trout. In North America, more than 150 different types of mayflies are used for making lures. And these devices work wonders, but only if you know which one to use, and where, and when. It's quite an art, you see. The appearance of the mayfly in spring is an astonishing sight, but it doesn't last long. In effect, these insects fly only long enough to complete a courtship dance. Then they die. A sorry fate, you might say. Well, it isn't really, because, as any trout may tell you, the mayfly lives a double life. Follow me. Here it is. That's what I wanted to show you. This funny-looking little worm is also a mayfly. Exactly the same insect. Even if the mayfly appears to live just a few days, or sometimes just a few hours, it has already spent almost 2 years in a larva state underwater. fly is not the only insect that can do this. This is our local shark, a Dobson fly larva. It's molting. Now, observe well these strange filaments on its abdomen. What do you think they are? Well, simply gills. Fish do not hold a monopoly when it comes to having gills. Many aquatic larvae have them too. Whether on the inside or outside, gills allow an insect to draw oxygen from the water. The gills of a Dobson fly look like thorns, but those of other insects come in a variety of surprising shapes and sizes, like this dorsal crest or these 3 feathers. But gills are not the only respiratory system aquatic insects can have. Some, like the stonefly, breathe directly through their skin. This method, however, is only possible in highly oxygenated water. In other words, water that is both clean and continually refreshed by a steady current. In a way, the presence of the stonefly is a perfect measure of how healthy the river is. If the stonefly disappears, the water is probably polluted. But aquatic larvae that feel right at home just about anywhere also exist. And I even know one which is really intrusive, especially here in Abitibi. Out for a hunt on a summer evening in Quebec, you quickly lose track of who is hunter and who is prey. This region would be a perfect paradise if it wasn't for a most irritating, bloodthirsty pest, the mosquito. Just a little light will help you appreciate just how massive their yearly invasion can be. There are many reasons there are so many mosquitoes in nature. Firstly, their eggs are virtually indestructible. They can survive temperatures below freezing, and in case of a drought, they can remain dormant for several months, only to hatch with the first rain. On top of that, their reproductive cycle is very short. It takes less than a week for their larvae to transform into nymphs. 48 hours later, the first adults will see the light of day. And mosquitoes are not very fussy about where they live. They thrive just as well in plumbing as in clean water, in the rim of a flower pot, or even a wet tire track. Another type of insect is even more resistant and adaptable. It looks like a mosquito, but in fact, it's a water midge. They can survive in almost anything. A pool of stagnant water or even a puddle of gasoline. Their secret to survival is hemoglobin. This pigment, which gives the larvae a red color, stores oxygen and helps the water midge flourish even in the most polluted water. An escalation in the number of water midges near a source of fresh water is often an indication that the region has become contaminated. Water is not the exclusive domain of insect larvae. Many six-legged adults live here too, without the benefit of gills. How do they breathe underwater? Our six-legged divers originally lived on land and only conquered the aquatic world late in their evolution. So they breathe just like their landlocked cousins, through air holes or spiracles that line the length of their body and function like nostrils. But landlubbers need the oxygen found in air, not water. So, staying alive underwater is a huge challenge for these insects, like it is for us. Fins, wetsuit, tank, regulator, mask, and snorkel. Marvelous inventions that will enable me to observe my mermaids in their own element. The invention of the snorkel was actually a crucial step toward realizing our dream of exploring underwater life. Just like it must have been for the ranatra, or water scorpion. It survives thanks to a long tube that protrudes from the end of its body. Just like my mask and snorkel, the siphon connects directly to the spiracles, and when kept above water, allows the creature to breathe. This respiratory system, however, has its limits. The water scorpion must spend most of his time near the surface of the water and dive only when absolutely necessary. One of the largest aquatic insects around is Lithoceros, the giant water bug, which can sometimes reach 4 inches in length. These creatures also use a snorkel to breathe, but one that is shorter than the renatras. They are excellent swimmers which dive deep to capture their prey. But like the renatra, they must stay close to the surface. I know exactly what you're thinking. If insects really invented scuba diving, how come they're not more at home in the water? Well, Consider the resourcefulness of this beetle. Without any equipment, knowledge of vertigo, or the principles of decompression, it is an excellent scuba diver. The diving beetle is a close relative of the ground beetle. But this beetle has turned its shell into a wetsuit. Hydrodynamic and lined with a layer of grease, the shell is completely waterproof. Even when the beetle is fully immersed, it stays completely dry. Because water is a lot denser than air, we humans need flippers to move around. This beetle's flippers are truly sophisticated, bordered with a fringe of hairs that straighten out when it rows. The beetle can move around with ease underwater. Wetsuit? Flippers? Now, all it needs is an air tank. When the beetle surfaces, it gathers air beneath its wings. This reserve of tiny air bubbles is kept at the tip of its abdomen, right where the spiracles are. Whenever the beetle needs some oxygen, it just takes it from an air bubble. These bubbles are actually more efficient than the air tanks used by scuba divers. Follow me and you'll see. Take a look at this little beetle, a hydrophilid. The silvery coating under its belly is an air bubble which is virtually inexhaustible. Once the oxygen inside is consumed by the insect, this bubble automatically starts to capture more oxygen from the water surrounding it. But the bubble must stay underwater without floating away. Our hydrophilid has solved this crucial problem with a thick mass of hair on its belly that keeps the air in place indefinitely. Unlike me, this insect hardly has any reason to surface again. The insect's hairs help them to accomplish many other feats. If you thought that walking on water was a miracle, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Look, here is our miracle, a water strider. It looks like a cross between an hydroplane and an outrigger canoe. The yeri can skate on top of the water without ever sinking. Like the hydrophilid, the ends of its feet are covered in hair. This creates a cushion of air between the insect and the water surface. The hair is also covered with oil, which, being lighter than water, helps keep the pond skater from sinking, despite its weight. But the hair doesn't only act like a floater, it also helps the Gerid detect the slightest ripple on the surface of the water. Like a miniature pirate, it can locate a shipwreck from far away and move in before the capsized victim can save itself or its treasures. Gerids are not the only ones able to read ripples on the surface of the water. These little whirligig beetles can too. Without headlights or beacons, they never collide with other underwater life. They create ripples, which they use like radar. If the ripples return too fast, they know an obstruction lies ahead, and they adjust their path. But they don't just move according to this rhythm. They have two sets of eyes, one for seeing above the water, and the other for seeing below. To top that off, these busybodies are perfectly amphibian. They can climb, they can dive, and they can even fly. Dragonflies are the most highly perfected flying machine you can see on this planet. They can hover like an helicopter, fly backwards, and reach top speeds of over 100 kilometers an hour. There's nothing about aerial navigation they don't know. At barely a few days old, they represent the very height in submarine technology, able to breathe with the ease of a fish, swim like a siren, and hunt with the efficiency of a shark. How can the same living creatures take on such different forms in the course of its life? Well, that's a mystery we haven't completely solved yet. One great mystery is responsible for making insects the most adaptable beings of all: metamorphosis. And as for us, pitiable land creatures, all we can do is reread the novels of Jules Verne and dream. Maybe one day we too might enjoy the freedom of flight or the comfort of being an insect in water, all without the use of a single piece of technology.